Number 10, Ole Miss. Big win for Lane Kiffin. Georgia's offensive line struggled. Carson Beck struggled. And that was a result of Ole Miss's defense just getting after Georgia's offense and Carson Beck and making Carson Beck's life miserable. Now, in the back of my head, I am keeping an eye out for a possible letdown game here from Ole Miss down the stretch. But they only have 2 regular season games left. They have Florida and then Mississippi State. But Ole Miss is back in the playoff hunt. Number 9, Alabama. Big win on the road at night in Death Valley. When Jalen Milroe has 4 rushing touchdowns, that's really hard to stop. Now, with the 12-team playoff, you can lose and get in. Alabama has those 2 losses. You can't discredit those, but I think you have to look at Alabama with a little bit of the recency bias. They have some quality wins on the resume. They beat Georgia. They beat LSU. Those teams combined have 5 losses. I understand that. But when this offense gets on a roll and Jalen Milroe's killing you with his legs, Alabama can be trouble. Number 8, Notre Dame. They have a championship caliber defense. The offense is starting to figure some stuff out. I understand that they're not playing the toughest of competition, and they're not going to down the stretch. They do play Army, so I am excited to see how that game goes. I am assuming Notre Dame wins that one. The defense is only giving up about 10 points per game, so I think you have to love that. I am a little bit scared to rank them higher just because I've been burned too many times, but Notre Dame, if they win out, they're in. Number 7, BYU. It's been hard to rank the Cougars, especially this week, because they're undefeated, they're in a Power 4 conference, and they have quality wins on their resume. They have that 29-point win over Kansas State. They've also beaten SMU. That's another good win. But against Utah, I mean, they needed a penalty to extend that final drive for them to go on and win that game. Now, some people will look at this and go, if you're in a power conference and you're undefeated at this point in the year, you should be a lot higher than 7. But one thing I can't get over with BYU is I think teams ranked 1 through 6 would beat BYU if they played tomorrow, so I couldn't rank them higher than 7. Number 6, Tennessee. I like their defense a lot. Their offense is fine. It's not scary or threatening, but it gets the job done. I do think that Nico will develop into a really good quarterback that can go out and win you a big-time game, maybe win you a playoff game. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but moving forward, I think you're going to see him develop into that kind of a quarterback. They're still only scoring about 25 points or so on average over the last 6 games, so they're getting the job done. And look, they're finding themselves at the top of the standings in the SEC, so you have to be happy with that. Huge game next week against Georgia. Number 5, Indiana. I know their schedule hasn't been that tough. This was a good win over Michigan. Michigan's 5-5. I get that. If there was a blue blood out there that had this same schedule and had the exact same results, they would be ranked in the top 5. I like what I'm seeing defensively, especially the rush defense. I'm liking what I'm seeing offensively, especially in their passing game. And they're making plays on special teams. So they're making plays in all 3 facets of the game. And that's what really good teams do. That's what really well-coached teams do. Kurt Cignetti has done a really good job. And Indiana is 10-0 for the first time in school history. Number 4, Penn State. They rolled Washington. Tyler Warren scored twice. He is their ultimate X factor. They have guys on defense that can make plays. Drew Aller is certainly a capable quarterback, but they haven't had any weapons on the outside, especially at receiver. Warren is that guy for them, and I think he has to have 12 to 15 targets every game. And if he's getting the ball and he's productive, they're going to be in every game down the stretch. Number 3, Texas. Over 300 passing yards and 5 touchdowns for Quinn Ewers. He had a great game. I know Florida isn't much, especially without DJ Lagway. But these types of performances out of Quinn Ewers is trouble for any team that they could face. And I still like the Texas defense, and you pair that with a quarterback that's experienced. Are they perfect? No, but they can test a lot of teams. Number 2, Ohio State. There's a clear gap between the top 2 teams in college football and the rest of the field right now. Ohio State is very efficient on offense and defense. Their defense leads the country in total defense. And since the Oregon game, the Ohio State defense has only given up 1 touchdown. Will Howard is very good in that short to intermediate passing game. And the biggest question has been the offensive line. It seems like they've figured out the best 5 for this offensive line that has to be patched up due to injuries. But the last 2 weeks, especially against Penn State, the offensive line has played better than I thought it would. Number 1, Oregon. Really, the only question is just injuries. I mean, Jordan Birch tweaked something, but it doesn't appear to be serious with what Dan Lanning said. Receivers, Trayshawn Holden, Tez Johnson are banged up. I mean, these are really important players for Oregon, and they need them to be healthy going down the stretch, especially if they're going to play Ohio State again. So the Ducks just have to find a way to stay healthy.